If America's legacy in the 20th century turns out to be anything, I think it may come down to just two things: art and the military. There were world wars, ugly police actions, dictators, tyrants, and a nuclear arms buildup. Growing up in the 1960s and 70s, it seemed like the human race was doomed. At the same time, there was all this weird and exciting creativity: abstract painting, existential theater, jazz, rock and roll, and modern dance. This modern art came to define a military age. But at the end of the century, everything changed. With the Cold War over, the old military-industrial complex had no clear purpose. There were too many soldiers and sailors, too much old equipment, and too many facilities costing too much money. One of the facilities facing closure was less than a mile from my house, the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Kittery, Maine. Could you tell us a little bit about what the base closure process meant to the people that worked here, what it meant to morale?
The base closure process is an extremely emotional and gut-wrenching event.
In Washington, the politicians fought hard to save the old shipyard.
We are confident that what you saw and heard confirms what we in the Navy already know to be the case, that America's submarine future and America's naval strength truly runs deep, and its home base is Portsmouth. That's the bottom line.
But back home, on the Seacoast, thousands of men and women were losing their jobs.
Are we going to be here? Are we going to have a job beyond tomorrow? Am I going to be able to, in fact, finish my career, much less make a career for those that follow along behind me?
In the middle of the layoffs, Liz Lerman, a dancer and choreographer from Washington, D.C., came to stage a community art event about the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. It was called the Shipyard Project.
There are misperceptions about what artists do and what art is, and I think that that's probably true about a naval shipyard.
I guess I shouldn't have been surprised that art and the military would ultimately meet. What did surprise me was that it happened in my own backyard. For someone who just first looks at this project, how do you respond when they say, so what does art and the military have in common? Why those two things?
Well, okay, so some of what interests me about this project is the fact that it's just such a weird connection that it makes everybody sort of go, oh, I want to find out what that's about, and it helps people stay sort of fresh in their thinking about both of us. Fresh about what dance might be, and fresh about, gee, what's it like to work at a shipyard? Dance,
Shipyard, industrial environment. These guys are nuts. They'll never play here.
It wasn't for me. I figured dancing was tight leotards and patent leather shoes, up on your toes.
How are we going to support this? Who is going to do the performance? Where are the performers coming from? How are we going to enlist the shipyard support?
At Portsmouth, New Hampshire, crewmen board the USS Albacore, fastest submarine ever built. Radically different in design, the underwater craft carries 49 officers and men.
In January of 1995, the Liz Lerman Dance Exchange came to tour the USS Albacore. The project had begun.
Seawater. And that makes the boat become heavy, and that causes it to go from a surface condition, sink to a submerged condition.
The Albacore was one of the submarines built at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard during the height of the Cold War. It was designed to protect America from communism. Today, it serves as a local museum and tourist attraction. And the shipyard no longer builds submarines. Its job today is to repair and maintain the Navy's existing nuclear fleet.
We're working on submarines. To work on a submarine means that you don't have to do your work well, you've got to do it to the quality that you'd want to ride it. That you want to hear that hatch go clunk, find out just how dark is, go to test depth, and know that when you get ready to surface, you can. You don't get to make mistakes. You get to do your job to the best of your ability every time, and when you can't, you say so, because the lives that ride on the quality of your work.
So what we want to do in the fall, I don't know if you can help me with this, is we'd like to have like almost like a gallery, I don't know how to describe it, but a place where the dancers would really learn what you do in order to accomplish your skilled task.
We make the connectors on the cables for the equipment and wire some of the cables into the panels, and you got to strip back the cabling and put lugs on them and lug them up to wire up all the equipment.
See, we really want all that, because to me that's also the physical connection to dance. That's where you and I are going to cross paths, is in the physical nature of your work, even if it's small. A lot of our work is small, you know, and stripping and all that. So maybe we could find you. Is it possible? Could I give you a call when I come back?
Yeah.
Possible? Great. I would just hope that people come and see what it's all about, and also come with a little bit of an open heart and an open mind, because what we do with dance is just different.
I don't know much about modern dance, but the Liz Lerman Dance Exchange defies an easy label. They see all movement as a birthright, a kind of tool which, when combined with storytelling, will help build and mend communities.
I've always thought that art in general, dance in particular, can have a big impact in the lives of people if people can get their hands on it, and I mean really sort of do it and understand it fully. And that part of the separation over the years between art and what artists do and the lives of most people is just that people haven't had crucial experiences with it. So part of my interest with the Dance Exchange over the years has been to put right into people's lives what can happen if you make art, or if art touches you. And usually that means that the stories have to matter. You have to know some of the people that are in it. You have to have some sense of power about, I'm going to understand what I'm seeing, not be made to feel stupid. That if those things are in place, if the stuff really matters to me, then I think amazing things can happen. We're going to write on the ribbons. You can, your Dance Exchange person will explain you more about it. But these ribbons are going to form the ribbon on the bridge for the final ceremony. Okay? We'd like you to have a chance to talk to each other about the different things you've been doing in the project. If this is your first night as part of the project, that's fine. Just bring your own stories about the art if you wish, or about living in Portsmouth.
Each person that worked there has got their own version of what happened, what the shipyard means to them, and what experiences they think of, what the shipyard has come to mean, how they relate to the shipyard. To capture that, interviewers spent literally hundreds of hours interviewing past and present shipyard workers.
Were you an officer in the Navy?
I was working at the shipyard.
That's great. That's great.
this your first experience here with this project?
With this project.
Because you have to get through the hatchway.
You have to climb the ladder to go through the hatchway.
You have to climb the ladder
onto the main deck.
Why don't you write, my father works at the shipyard. Get people energized.
I've been in the military, and you don't always, you don't frequently exercise a lot of creativity there. I mean, you can under certain circumstances, but most of the time you're doing a set job in accordance with a bunch of procedures, and you work hard, and
What do you want? You're an engineer.
you get the job done, and I'm an engineer. So this is a totally other side of me that you, as part of the exchange, have brought out or released. You see, so that's there is that side of me. I think there's an engineering side of you that lies.
There's an architecting side of me.
See, right.
I'm going to let you draw me out, Jeffrey, because I just don't know what to say.
What did you say about the top?
Couldn't get to the. Once I came to the main deck.
Oh, main deck.
Main deck.
Okay, that's the exit.
It's hard to get your foot over through the hatchway onto the main deck.
And when the river froze, people would walk across the river to work, because those were the days when, before the bridge was built. So, do you know that story?
No, I don't.
Want to hear about the naval prison, the Portsmouth Naval Prison?
Now, are you the only shipyard worker who's part of the performance?
This time, yes.
This time?
Yep. The only active one.
What kind of response has this gotten from the shipyard?
Very mixed response. Initially, when you talk about dance and the media, and they're looking for tutus and light-footed folks, when they see what the message is, and they see the way it's done, they welcome it. Because it's one of the few positive things that's going on about the shipyard right now, and we need something positive.
Doesn't matter which arm goes to the side. Stick to your guns. Stay focused.
Follow Michelle. Follow Michelle.
Make an opening in the top for daylight. Make it with bottom, second, and third deck.
Stay focused. Stay really focused, everybody. You can do it.
The movements that you made in the conduct of your story became movements in the dance. So it's not dance in the traditional term. It's not get a tutu on and tights and go out and perform ballet. It's dance as we explain the way we do work. It's part of the communication process.
And hopefully there'll be 500 people or something, right? Harold's movement. Great, color guard. Yes.
What have you learned from Liz? What kinds of things have you picked up through this process?
That any subject can be non-threatening if presented properly. And all you gotta do is be patient with it and let the people work at their own pace. She gets the patience of Job. She really does.
You tell me where we're going and I'll tell you.
We are going to do all the Portsmouth sites.
The Shipyard Project is the largest public art event ever staged in northern New England. For a year and a half, the Liz Lerman Dance Exchange travels back and forth between their home base in Washington, D.C., and the towns surrounding the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard.
I've got to keep moving, Lord. I've got to keep moving.
So it's almost like a...
The shipyard is located on an island in the Piscataqua River, in the working-class town of Kittery, Maine. Directly across the river, and connected by a series of bridges, is the city of Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
We're like sit right in here. Yeah. I love this long thing here. I like
Clear air, we do one of these sites that
Go ahead, Kim. That was a good little duet.
Right now, I'm trying to think about whether if we could have the opening ceremony here, and I was just imagining if we had a person for every tree, and if the movement that we so far have been developing for the ending is strong enough. See, the issue of scale is always a question when we're outside, but if you had a person for every tree, and we did that movement, and everybody, and some of the movement, like the crane movement, with the cranes right there, I think it could be really beautiful.
From students to senior citizens, tap dancers to officers' wives, Liz Lerman seeks out everyone she can find with an interest in art or the military.
These people are professionals, and they sort of entrance you, and I was hypnotized and taken in before I even knew what was happening. I was part of them. Couldn't believe them. They were all professional people, especially this Liz Lerman. Liz, you can talk a hound dog down off a truckload of meat bones in the middle of the desert, and you've got me entranced.
Can I ask you, what's your name?
I'm Victor.
Victor, hi, I'm Liz Lerman. Nice to meet you, Victor. So
yeah, I'm the night manager of this lovely installation. Oh, God.
Did you realize facing you is a great concert hall?
What I'm worried about is my lanes.
We were extraordinarily careful, and we were properly shoed and properly clothed so that...
We got plenty of bowling shoes to let you use.
Yeah. I think it could be really... I suppose on one level the biggest challenge is keeping it all together. And one of my solutions to that has been to decide not to. That it doesn't have a single theme. It doesn't have a single performance. There isn't a single product from this. In fact, there's an array.
So we kind of know we got to this formation. All right, let's plow on, then we'll run up to this point and see what the problems are.
A right ascent.
A right
does this.
You see that, guys? It's such a beautiful little...
We're going to foreshadow the image at the beginning of the piece. Yes. And then we're going to have them come back and add a little surprise as the bridge lifts and moves. Yes. That's the plan. That's the plan.
No, it's your right arm that goes out to the nobody. Divvy, right hand.
Taxes here, taxes there, in our pockets everywhere.
I know that you two know one thing and you two know another and you know both. But what I want to do tonight is work on combining them and making them all into sort of one thing, which means you guys have to learn all this stuff. Thomas here. Can I get back there? No, face me. Now Ursula knows this, but Ken and Charlie, you don't. Spread out a little tiny bit. Okay.
So here, 1, 2, wrap the chain, and then hook.
As rehearsals took place, I found myself doing more and more narrating, and then I found myself not only narrating, but in the movement. And it was a very easy step to make.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, 1, 2, 3.
One of the things I was trying to teach everybody here is, more so in this project than in a lot of ones I've done, which is where does movement begin and how does movement matter to people? And that if you start movement at a place where it really has some meaning to people, they'll stay with you longer. So thus the phrase, which is made up entirely of movement that is about how they function on the yard. basically people have such low self-esteem about their neighbors, about their own abilities. What, she's going to have people like me doing something? It must be terrible. I think that really, that's why they're overwhelmed by the quality. They can't get, oh, it was so good. And it's like, I want to kick people in the shins. Of course it was good. We're professionals, this is what we know.
This has been the first time since I was a freshman in high school that I'd been on stage to perform. The company was very supportive in that it's not necessary to say the same thing the same way every time. If you stay with a storyline, we can pick cues from you that'll cue the dance around you, as long as you maintain the pace that you normally maintain. And then it became fun. Because it did work. And my daughter maintains the project made a ham out of me because I enjoyed doing it from that point on. And in fact, I did.
At the high school in nearby Dover, New Hampshire, the marching band is getting ready for its role in the Shipyard Project. They're rehearsing a number written by project composer Wayne Horvitz.
All right, no idea what this is going to do, so let's try it. Watch out for the accidentals. You got your key figured out? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and.
So you walk into Dover High School, they're doing this rehearsal of Portsmouth Cabaret, and what do you think? The first time you hear it when we were there taping?
Well, you know, I didn't really think much because I'm used to that. I'm used to things. I mean, even with a really professional band, if people are just looking at the music for the first time, you know, it can be all over the place. I actually went to small schools, and I basically went to hippie schools, and so I was never in a big band. I didn't go to a big high school. I didn't know anything about that sort of subculture, which it really is. You know, to me, it seems it's like another world. Uniforms, marching. It's just not where I come from at all. So I really didn't know what to think, and I decided not to pass judgment, which was a good thing because it really improved quickly.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
What's the kind of the musical inspiration for Portsmouth Cabaret? I mean, I'm hearing a little Bertolt Brecht or Kurt.
Well, that's actually, it's nice to say that you picked up on it. I mean, that's why I called it Cabaret, because the opening little vamp reminded me of that a little bit too, you know. And so it was just the title. Since I always write a lot more music than I have titles for, I thought, oh, Portsmouth Cabaret. But yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, I'm a composer. I have my thing, and I brought my thing to the music.
Sounds wonderful.
The best part was the amount of time spent with the schools. Getting the students involved with their perceptions of what the shipyard was before the project. And then watching them participate in the project and watching them learn and see what the shipyard is.
There was a naval prison at the Portsmouth Shipyard. It's exactly 90 years old. It closed over 20 years ago. When it was open, some prisoners escaped. They were eventually all captured. The prison was called the Alcatraz of the East.
Now, you used to work at the shipyard?
Yes, my father worked at the shipyard. My uncle worked at the shipyard. I had a nephew that worked at the shipyard. So I come from a long family. I'm a shipyard worker. I lived across the river from the shipyard all my life. I heard the whistles and sounds during the water, the rivets and the chippers and the conkers, and heard the riggers giving orders to the cranes on a hot summer night when the windows open. The
You could hear the sounds on the shipyard on a hot summer night. It was quite an experience living here during that time. One thing that my brother and I will always remember is going to our room, which is in the attic of a 3-story house, and looking out the window every Thursday evening and seeing the prison lit up. Every light in the prison was lit up. And the reason why it was lit up was they were having movies. And we thought how lucky the prisoners were to be able to have movies, because that was the only enjoyment back in the olden days, was movies.
Well, Jan, it's 4. What do you think? It's up to me. Whoa. Everybody's ready, right?
Finally, Liz Lerman and her company are ready to perform. The Shipyard Project premieres on an island in the Piscataqua River, directly across from the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard.
As we get on our way to the causeway. This performance is a site-specific performance. And normally, I guess when you buy a ticket in the theater, you sit down in a seat and you watch things happen on a proscenium stage. Something usually a little higher than eye level, and the people come and go, and there are lights, and then click on and off, and the sound comes and goes, and it's very exciting. This, however, is a little different.
Portsmouth Naval Shipyard is the largest employer of citizens living in the Seacoast area. And whereas the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard is the oldest naval shipyard in the country, carrying with it a rich social, economic, and historical link with the community.
So since this community is the sponsor of this project, we all get to launch this sub.
And whereas the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard has developed major technological advances in this country's national defense structure due to the high level of craftsmanship, teamwork, and pride which characterizes the workforce. And whereas the collaboration between the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard and the Music Hall represents the interdependency between outwardly disparate organizations and outlooks, bridging the shipyard community with the larger community, the military community with the arts community, history with dance, and the arts with everyday life.
Lean out and turn around and come back to your parents. periscopes. So if you could just take a breath and feast your eyes on what you see across the river. Maybe it looks a little different today. Maybe you notice something you never noticed before. A lot of what we're going to be doing today is paying tribute in lots of different ways, and certainly throughout the week, paying tribute to and examining ways in which you, standing here or sitting, and that place across the water have met or not met.
All of our children were born over there at the Naval Shipyard, and I used to, we live in Newcastle, and I always used to, when the submarine would come in and go out, I used to wheel the children down there, you know, and we used to wave to them from the shore.
I think people really saw something that I don't think they had any idea what they were going to see, and I think that they came away. I think no matter where you were before you came in here, you come away feeling pretty uplifted because it was some great stuff. Right.
And with this setting here in this park and seeing these different dances, just mentioned it to me. If that's not meaningful for this community in the shipyard, I don't know what is.
I guess that I'm pretty pleased. I thought the opening ceremony was amazing. If I had any expectation, it was in my complete devotion and belief in how good the company is.
This is just the first in a week-long series of community performances. Other performance sites include a chapel, the bathrooms of the Portsmouth Music Hall, and St. John's Episcopal Church.
For he commandeth and raiseth the stormy wind, which lifteth up the waves thereof.
How much am I reflecting the points of view of the people who live here, and when do I get to have my interpretation? Because I think I do have a point of view about a lot of these conflicts. And it's just not clear to me when to express them.
I was begotten. I originated. I grew. I was born. I was entered into the birth register.
I'm really conscious of some of the environmental factors and questions, and because that's such a dramatic issue for everybody, and what's going on in this community is no different than what's going on in absolutely every community. One of the reasons I feel so strongly about dance itself is that it works on a lot of levels at one time. It can work on a personal level. So when you're dancing, you might find a way to bring your mind and your body together in a kind of synthesis that you don't often get to experience otherwise. So one of the ways that dance mends or heals is just personal. But as soon as there are two people dancing, then you have the opportunity or the option to be engaged with that other person. It doesn't have to be direct. Like, I don't have to look at that person and hold their hands and do a little routine. I can be next to that person or in the same room with that person, and we can be doing the same dance, be listening to the same music and dancing together. And it will create a bond that wasn't there before. Then it can be even more dramatic than that, because then you can get groups of people who maybe have nothing to say to each other or have had a difficult time or feel differently about something. Depending on how the dance is structured and choreographed, you can at least remind people that we're all breathing the same air and drinking the same water, and so we're in the same boat, so to speak. It could be on that level. Or it could be, I'm going to agree to disagree, but I at least want to hear your story, and here's mine. So you feel this way about the environment, well, I feel this way about it. And in that way, I think it can be a profound experience for people to come out of that.
Although the dancers receive a warm reception, most of the performances that make up the Shipyard Project attract only a small audience. Not many shipyard workers are willing or even able to attend. But at the end of the week, a special performance is scheduled outdoors, at the mall in the center of the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. It is here that art and the military will finally meet.
Mo's on the Mall, they call it. There's a yearly event whereby you buy a sandwich and a drink and a bag of chips for $1. And you sit at this mall and you have your lunch there.
We purposely set up Mo's so the shipyard had to ring the mall. They had to go all the way around the mall before they could get lunch, which made them walk around the outside of the performance. They had to walk around the bands. They had to stand in line to get their lunch on purpose because they had to watch the performance.
Really flap those arms so they'll know to stop, and in, two, down the leg.
What do you make of all this?
Oh, I don't know.
It's about 1, 2, and 3 to begin.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. What do you make of all this?
I make it as a lot of hungry people here.
In the corners, very neatly. Anything left hanging out.
3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6.
Anybody like the program?
Program?
They don't want a program.
7, 8, 7.
Like, what do you do at work?
Well, we're inspectors.
Or what do you, you're inspectors? So, like, what do you inspect?
Good day for activities for everybody.
Well, what do you think of the dance?
It's good.
I think it's right to think about putting art anywhere, but I draw the line at malls and food. So I crossed my own line for the shipyard.
3, 4, do this one, 5.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Sharon. There you go.
You make of this.
Project is a tribute to all of you current
Quite something.
and past shipyarders, the community, our families, the Navy, and our country. And the performers in this project, and the times I have seen them, have really captured the spirit, the pride of the yard, and the community, and the strong bond that the yard and the community share.
Our mission and our jobs in this business tend to be very technical and very complex. The arts can help us bring out that side of ourselves that needs to be a little less complex, perhaps, and more feeling.
Before I turn this over to the performers directly, I want to ask Liz Lerman to please join me. And on behalf of all the shipyarders, their families, the communities for all you've done over the last 2 years. Please accept this token of our appreciation of Shipyard Sales to Adams Platt.
Folks like Liz bring a different dimension to our business. We don't normally include them in the mainstream. We don't have a lot of folks of her kind of caliber and background in organizations like this.
Hey, let's clap a little. Hey! It does bring out a side of me I don't use too much, that sort of yelling sergeant person up there screaming at everybody. We thought the one way we might get you to come see some of the dancing is if we made you wait in line. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the little bit that you see. Once you get your sandwich, if you want to come out here where there's some benches and stuff and see some of what we've got cooking for this lunchtime.
The dancing takes place on the conning tower of the USS Squalus, which has been placed in the mall of the shipyard as a permanent memorial to the men and women who gave their lives in service to their country.
Make an ark of gopher wood. Make it with compartments. Cover it inside and outside with pitch.
Perhaps it seems a little strange to have dancers on a shipyard. I thought it was a little strange when the music hall first called us and asked us to think about coming to Portsmouth Kittery to do this project. But now, having been here for a while, it really doesn't seem so strange.
Actuator buoyancy, catalyst, distillation evaporation frequency, GFB, HART, isojet, lifts, net objective quality.
Then the 3 destroyers, or what was left of them, decided it was time to look for the one that caused their problems. So Captain says, take her down. And we started down, and first I heard the destroyer go across her bow. And I made a remark to myself. I said, if you drop one now, just as he's crossing the bow, I said, you've got us. So anyway, I heard one go off on the port side from the direction he'd come in. And it was quite loud and quite close, and I said, holy cow. So the next one went off, closer yet. And I says, oh boy. The next one, if he dropped one, it's going to be a problem. So I started forward. And just as I got underneath the escape trunk, we ran over one. Immediately after you close the hatch, you're going to go clunk behind you. A submarine has no windows or doors. It relies upon its ears for a sense of being, where it is and where it is going.
Art allows us to take a non-threatening look at some things that could be very emotionally charged, things that could be politically controversial. Stands that couldn't be taken in uniform or at work could be taken to art and said in the name of art, and as long as it's in that context, so what? We all can enjoy art. Art has no boundary.
What is the purpose of the modern submarine? When we had an enemy during the height of the Cold War, it was easy. We must be better than the enemy. We must be ready for all eventualities. How do we now justify the cost? Is it one of oceanography? Is it one of deep ocean research? Is it one of rescue? Drug interdiction? Or are submarines merely a plaything for the whales?
Do you think the shipyard workers were allowed
or could allow themselves to enjoy the performance or get anything out of it? I mean, do you think they could break that barrier of here we are and from what we're supposed to be to here we are to opening ourselves up to something that's completely out of our realm?
Some of them could. The question of, well, if I don't think about the workers for a minute, if I think about the bigger question, it's what kind of society or culture makes it impossible for people to be curious? What kind of society or culture trains its people to be afraid to have independent thought or independent enjoyment or independent whatever? And I think those are appropriate questions to the situation, but that isn't the only situation like that in this country. There are lots and lots and lots of places that we could ask that same thing of. So I can turn it around and say, isn't it amazing, given our society and our culture, that as many did take a minute to step out of their histories and say, okay, I'm going to look at this.
The thing that impressed me, it wasn't a bunch of New York actors waving their arms. They had a lot of heart and a lot of soul, and it cut right to the core of our being immediately.
The dances were fantastic. You know, I've never seen anybody take a story and just put it to movement like that.
So what was it like trying to perform in the midst of lunch?
Actually, this was great. It was
our
really
biggest
fun.
crowd.
Yeah, it was our biggest crowd. Go where there is food and you shall have an audience. It was really fun. It was good.
I thought we actually got some really good reception from people.
Yeah.
I mean, they were eating lunch and stuff, but I've performed where people have eaten before, and sometimes they just pay you absolutely no attention. But I think these people were really into what was going on, so it was good.
It's kind of like one of those little cars.
Do you feel any antagonism here at the shipyard? I mean, do you feel people reacting against you at all?
No, they're very cordial at lunch. It may be Moe's subs, putting them in a good mood. They're very friendly.
Do you feel any antagonism, Jeffrey, here at all? Do you feel you're confronting anything?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I feel like people are I sometimes feel indifference. But, I mean, I think in general, we get a lot of good energy. I think talking to a woman and talking to me, you might get two different answers. I think I feel more antagonism than, like, Michelle or Kim or Jude. I mean, I just think it's a little bit different for me, being who I am, like a young male dancer. I don't think that's going to be more of a challenge for people in the shipyard to deal with than a young, pretty dancer. Yeah, female dancer.
Because men shouldn't dance.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that, I mean, here we are, it's a Navy, there's some kind of military thing going on, and I think that that's weird, I think, for the younger men. I don't know if it is for Thomas as much, but I think for the younger men in the company, not that it's bad, it's not like nobody's been mean or cruel or...
Once the seed is planted with art, where the person takes that is very personal, very deliberate upon them now to do something with that. And that's what the Shipyard Project did. It planted the seeds that just maybe we need to look elsewhere within ourselves to make us a better neighbor to our community.
They are going to follow the sailors onto the mouth side of the river and wait at that opening there. See, their formation was planned.
During the last day of the Shipyard Project, artists, community members, and military personnel met on a bridge connecting Maine to New Hampshire. They came to tie a ceremonial ribbon. a symbolic act to link the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard with the arts and the greater Seacoast community.
Right here, Mayor Foley. Right. These ones. Okay.
And as it turns out, the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard was not shut down, although the layoffs and the downsizing have continued. In the months since the Shipyard Project was completed, another 368 jobs have been eliminated. The Secretary of Defense is trying hard to implement another round of base closures, and public funding of the arts is at an all-time low. Maybe, at the end of the 20th century, art and the military had to come together. I don't know if the Shipyard Project was a success, but I do know that here in the town surrounding the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, art and the military tried to find a little common ground. And maybe that's enough for now.
This is very exciting. I'm overwhelmed.
I don't think there'll be other dances about shipyards, and I don't think something like this will happen again.
Portsmouth built the best submarines of the bunch. There's no holds barred on that one.
The section I was in was all men and remained all men, except for me for the 15 years I worked there.
We were assigned an area in the East China Sea. It just so happened that we had run into a task force. So they says, Captain, we got a torpedo and two. He says, good, stand by. So we fired that torpedo, and it made a hit somewhere that was very explosive because she just erupted.
One of the things that my job involved was going down on a submarine, probably daily, almost daily, during times when there was a lot of production work going on. There was a lot of painting, brazing, welding.
The captain says, put them destroyers on our stern and let's get out of here. In other words, just let's go away from them. Because they were picking up survivors. There was lights and searchlights back there. So then we started running. And 2 days later, we finally sent our report that we had gotten a carrier.
For your own safety, there's a great deal of safety equipment that has to be worn. Things like hard hats, safety glasses, safety shoes, work jackets, coveralls, etc.
We happened to sink the last carrier that a submarine sank in World War II. Men, you can thank God you're on a Portsmouth-built boat.